Tonight I am making one of our all-time favorite chicken soups. It's called pho, and some people know it as pho soup. Welcome to Tess's Kitchen, and come along, and I'll show you how to make it. I'm going to first start off by toasting my vegetables, and I am using onions and carrots. I'm cutting up the carrots in chunks and quartering the onions, placing them on an oiled foil baking sheet. I'm also going to add a thumb-sized piece of ginger. I'm just going to lightly broil these on low. You can toast these vegetables in a dry skillet on the stove. The object is to just get the flavor started, and it's going to add a tremendous amount of flavor to the soup. It's been about 5 minutes, and I'm going to flip them over. At this time, I'm also going to add about 5 cloves of garlic. I didn't add them in the beginning because I don't want them to burn. Alright, another 5 minutes, and they'll be done. I have a large stock pot with 6 quarts of water, and I'm adding my toasted vegetables, ginger, and garlic to the mix. I have my heat on high. I'm going to bring it up to heat and add my chicken. Here I have a 4 to 5 pound whole chicken that I have washed and cleaned and trimmed off the ends. And in she goes. I'm only going to be using the breast meat for the soup, so the dark meat will be a leftover for another meal. I'm also going to add 2 cups of some homemade chicken broth that I have on hand, and about 4 cups of additional water to bring it up to about 1.5 inches from the top. I'm going to bring this up to a boil and then turn it down to a low simmer. Cover and cook for about 50 to 60 minutes. Keep an eye on it, and about midway flip the chicken, give it a good stir, just so it cooks evenly. The chicken is done. I'm going to remove it from the pot, tin it, and let it rest for 15 minutes. Now for my favorite part, the spices. This is a pho spice packet, and you can get this at your local Asian store. This is just a mix of spices that flavor pho soup. There's coriander, anise, cinnamon, cardamom, black pepper, fennel seed, and cloves. There's lots of companies that offer the mixed spice packets. They are nice and convenient, although I do end up adding more spices. It's all about the flavor. For me, I'm adding a few more cloves and a few more black peppercorns. Each spice is a flavor that stands out in the soup. They are all bold, but they all work together. And once you make this soup 2 or 3 times, you get to know which flavors you like and which you don't, so you can adjust your seasonings to your taste. To bring out the flavors and oils of the spices, I'm going to toast them in my dry cast iron skillet. Not long, only 3 to 4 minutes on low medium. You'll start to smell the spices, and the aroma is just incredible. The spice packet does come with a tied cloth bag. After you're done toasting the spices, you can put the spices in the bag and then in the broth, but I like to put my spices directly into the broth. It doesn't matter because in the end we're going to strain the broth. Plus, I think it adds more flavor. But don't throw that bag away. Tuck it away in your drawer. They are always nice to have in the kitchen, and they are good for soups. Now I'm adding those glorious spices to the broth, and the smell is just unbelievable. And now it's time to add the fish sauce. This is going to add the saltiness to the soup. This happens to be the fish sauce brand that I have. A little bit of it does go a long way. It's all about taste and adjustment. For me, I am adding 2 tablespoons. For this amount of soup, you may want to consider adding 3 or 4. I left my chicken cool and I deboned it. And now I'm adding those bones back into the broth to give it even a more depth of flavor. I'm going to cook the broth for another 30 to 45 minutes on a low simmer to get the most flavor that I can out of the bones. And this is the white meat that I got from the chicken I cooked. You can use white meat or dark meat, whichever you prefer, and we happen to like the white meat. I'm just going to cut thin slices for the soup. Pho is a famous Vietnamese chicken noodle soup. It is becoming widely popular all around the world, and rightly so. I could eat this soup 3 times a day, every day. There's also beef pho that is very good with brisket and or tripe, but today I am making chicken. Now the pho rice noodles are made by a lot of different companies and come in many varieties. This is a package I just happened to pick up today. They come in different widths, from very fine to big thick noodles. I usually go for something in between. I'm soaking my noodles in very, very hot water, almost boiling. I'm letting them soak for 3 minutes and then going to rinse them under very cold water. The rice noodles are just like pasta. You want them al dente. I've turned the heat off and I've had the broth setting here for about 10 minutes. There's some foam and grease at the top that I'm going to skim off. This is going to help keep the broth nice and clear. You can find this recipe and more on my Facebook and Google Plus page. Remember to come give me a visit. And now I'm straining the broth. Oh, the smell. The smell is just wonderful. I can't wait to eat. The broth has absorbed all those flavors. The chicken, the vegetables, and the spices. I ended up with 30 cups of broth, and I definitely will be freezing some. And now for the condiments. I have here about a cup of thinly sliced red onion, and I'm adding a 1/4 cup of water and a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to more or less pickle them. And to add a little zing, I'm going to add some ground chilies and a little bit of sugar. I'm going to set that to the side and let it do its thing for about 30 minutes. And for the other condiments, we have sriracha sauce, some fresh Thai basil, love fresh Thai basil, bean sprouts, some fresh snow peas, chopped scallions, red chilies for heat, hoisin sauce, and some fresh lime. And finally, let's make a bowl of soup and eat. And you'll notice that I left out a couple famous condiments. One is cilantro. My husband doesn't like it. The other is jalapenos, and I just couldn't find any at the store, so that's why I added the red chilies. It's all a matter of taste and what you like and what you don't. But I will say, give 'em all a try. I didn't think I was going to like the squeezed lime at the end, but I really think it gives the soup a punch. The soup just hits all the right notes. It is visually beautiful, and the smell is incredible. The texture and the crunchy bean sprouts and snow peas. All the flavors marry together. You have the richness of the broth, all the spices and individual flavors of anise and cinnamon and cardamom, and you can even taste the hint of ginger and garlic in the background. Now you can put the sriracha or the hoisin sauce directly in your soup, but this is how I was taught to eat it. You take equal amounts of your hoisin sauce and sriracha and give it a good mix. Then take your meat out of your soup and dip it in the sauce, and it is delicious. I even take my noodles and dip it in the sauce. This pho soup is not as intimidating as it looks. I really hope you give it a try. It is well worth it. I really believe this soup somehow nourishes the soul. I hope you make it, love it, and enjoy. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future recipe videos from Tess's Kitchen. You can also find me on Google+, Facebook, and Pinterest. Come visit again and enjoy.